All right,
It's fine.
good to go.
And final question, because then we're going to move on because I have a lot of other things to ask you. And you think, I mean, like, obviously now, Captain Lee, like you said, if he knew it was Sandy that was replacing him, he probably would have been upset, just because he
Yeah.
is more old school, salty dog, and it's like a woman, younger. Like, well, he obviously knows now. Like, how do you think he feels now, knowing that it was Sandy?
Probably gutted. I would say I would guess that he's not happy about it. But what can you do? Again, I really like Lee. I think he's a great guy, but he did put himself in a situation where he would have known that he wasn't physically in a good place to do the season. So he kind of did it to himself, and he has to take whatever comes with that.
That's a good point. How do you think his crew, that was working with him? Because listen, Captain Lee and Captain Sandy have very different styles, Captain Jason too. How do you think, like, you look at like Fraser, how do you think he's going to adjust to Sandy? Do you think he's going to get along with her? No spoilers, but just knowing that there's such different styles, like, how do you think this crew will adjust to Sandy's style?
You know what? I feel like they might struggle with it a bit at first because Captain Lee, he's like a wheelhouse warrior, like he's kind of always just up in the bridge and people come to him, but he doesn't really go around and suss out the situation much. Again, possibly because of his walking, I'm not sure. But Sandy loves to walk around the boat and check on everything and hit people up and maintain a really high standard. And so I think people, if they're not used to a captain coming around and checking your work, they might struggle with that. But if they do struggle with that, then they're not doing a good enough job.
That's true. As a chief stew, how do you feel about Fraser? I mean, he's a chief stew. Like, how do you feel he is? Like, he's a newer addition to the franchise. I mean, he's been
Yeah.
upgraded to chief stew. How do you feel about him?
I love him. Honestly, I think he is so well spoken, so poised. I do think it's the same as me with my first season. I think that he does need to be a little, like, get a bit more of a backbone, be a bit more stern and put his foot down a bit. But again, it's a massive boat. He's dealing with so much space, so just a lot of drama and stuff already, and it's his first season, so I think that he will get into that role, but it just takes time to reflect and learn and get what you have to do.
I think those are all good points. What about Chief Stews? I mean, she's no longer on the show, but what about Kate Chastain? How do you feel about her?
Oh, I love Kate. I think she is so fucking funny. She, like, some of the lines that she comes up with, I'm like, how do you think of that and say that with such a straight face? Like, she is hilarious, and I think that she was so, so good for the show.
I think she was so great for the show. I mean, look, she's pregnant. We're gonna have a below deck
Yeah,
baby on the
how
way.
cool. No,
Have
I think
you
that I think she's awesome.
have you like do you keep in touch with her? Do you speak to her? Do you know her well in the real world? I mean,
Yeah. Well, we don't actually talk that often, but she is a friend of mine because we did Watch What Happens Live together. Oh, it would have been like 3 years ago now. And when we did that, we met up and we had drinks beforehand and then had some more drinks after. Hung out the next day. I actually went to her apartment, and the first thing that I did was knock over her TV and it smashed, and she had to buy a new one. And she was so nice about it. She was so nice.
how did you knock over this TV?
So she was in this tiny apartment in New York, and it was the size. It was one of those shoebox apartments. She had her TV on one side, but due to the lack of places you could plug it in, the cord kind of draped across the floor and plugged in on the other side into a wall. So the cord kind of came down about knee length. And I went in and I was just so excited and ran to the kitchen to go and pour a drink or something, or use the bathroom or something like that. And I just didn't see the cord, and I walked straight into the cord. So that ripped the TV forward, fell straight forward, landed on the ground, got this huge crack across it. And so she had to buy a new TV. But she was just like, oh, that's fine. I've been meaning to buy a new one. So this is just like the universe telling me. I was like, how are
That's
you not mad at me?
You're like, wait a second, I just broke your TV.
Yeah, it's like truly there was not one moment where she was like had this cloud of annoyance on her face. She just thought it was hilarious.
See, and people say that like Kate has resting bitch face, that she's not nice. Like, here's an example where she's like, right? She's nice.
Oh, she was lovely. And because when I did it, she's the one that reached out to me and she was like, I'd love to, like, let's hang out, let's get a drink. And when I was waiting for her, I was like doing stuff on my phone. And then I looked up and she was doing this huge dance with an umbrella. And she was like, I've been dancing for you for so long and you haven't seen. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was on my phone. And she was just pure delight.
What about like the chefs, like either a chef that like you worked with or from watching the show? Like, who do you think is just, someone you worked with or just from watching, like that's the best chef that Below Deck has ever had? I mean, I have my own opinion,
Oh
but
my God. Ben, hands down. Ben is the best chef I have ever worked with. The thing that's so good about Ben, which is what chefs need to have, which is actually quite rare, is he can think on his feet and he does not get stressed about it. So say, for example, he's created a meal, he's done all these meals and we run it up to the table and you get it naturally you end up getting a guest who's like, oh, actually, no, I don't like this or I don't eat this, even though they haven't mentioned it on their preference sheet. And I will take the plate and I run down to Ben and I'm like, they don't like this. And he will not get flustered in the slightest. He'll just be like, okay, and then turn around, bam, 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 and suddenly creates this whole new meal in like 10 minutes from fucking nowhere. And I just think that that's the most impressive skill you can have. Like, I never saw him stressed. He just whips up magic instantly.
wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Bravo and Kate and Ben and Bravo celebrities, you were at BravoCon this year.
Yes.
How was that? I mean, it seemed like you had a great time.
It was amazing. I think it was one of the best weekends of my life. It was just so exciting. Like, so many fans there. It was just really cool because the hotel that we were staying at, obviously everyone caught wind of the hotel that all the celebrities were staying at. And so every time we left the hotel, there's like security, velvet ropes, screaming fans, all of these like escalades or whatever just lined up to take people places. And it was kind of the first weekend that I really felt like this true celebrity, it was so exciting. And then at BravoCon, like all the Bravo fans are just so full of love. And you'd felt this energy at BravoCon of just pure love and excitement everywhere. It was a really nice environment. And then, I obviously got to meet a lot of other Bravo celebrities. And I don't really watch Bravo. I don't watch any TV really. I'm too restless to watch